Hello, plant friends. So we are chugging along in our collector seller series with SoCal Tropics. SoCal Tropics, husband and wife duo, collector, buyer, seller, trader, 17 years of experience. They've done it all. They've seen it all. It was a pleasure and a privilege for me to be able to visit them and be able to share their knowledge and experience and all their amazing, amazing plants with you guys. So I hope you guys have seen the previous episodes. If you haven't, I'll link them somewhere. And I hope you guys are enjoying the series so far. So in this episode, I asked them a few questions about buying and selling plants.
I'm Kristy Babcock.
And I'm Jack Babcock.
And we're SoCal Tropics.
So you guys are obviously definitely collectors, and you guys also sell. How long have you guys been into aroids?
For about 17 years.
Oh wow. Okay. So way earlier than the craze, right? Like before the craze even started.
Oh yes, way before.
So when did the aroids really start popping into the scene? Like how long has it been?
I've noticed probably the last 5 years.
Okay.
And then it steadily has just gone up in popularity.
Do you guys use a lot of social media to sell? Do you feel like that's a good way to
We've been on eBay with selling the plants since 2007, I believe. It's been 2007, and that's where our name got out there, and we have a pretty good following. Every year I've got tons of messages, what's going to come out next, and so that's exciting. Now that we're on Instagram, we've obviously gained more, followers and just people that know our name. So I think it's an advantage. I mean, we have, like I said, we've been doing this for 17 years. We won't send out a plant that we know is not going to make it, or a wet stick. We're going to sell you a rooted plant.
So as sellers, I'm sure you've noticed that there are a lot more players in the scene, right? A lot more sellers, Etsy, eBay, social media now, right? Like people are just like, there's a lot of people just selling on Instagram, on Facebook.
I like it in a sense that now more of these rare, not rare, but hard to find plants are more readily available, and they're being shipped more easily from Japan and Thailand and Indonesia. They're coming in easier. Yeah. And so we're acquiring them more, and then the more U.S. Owners have them now, and they're, selling as well, propagating and selling. So I like it because you can get what you've always wanted. You just look at the plants that you have a desire for, and you can find them so much easier now. Before it was just, you literally had to go to Thailand or Indonesia or wherever you needed to get them, or just kind of find through before the internet. I think you have to actually go to Florida and find some of the older collectors and go through their collection and acquire one there. But it's changed so much now.
I feel like even since the beginning of this year, the selection of plants available on social media and these selling platforms has just blown through the roof, right? You can find basically almost anything. Mm-hmm. I think some of the unicorn ones, like the Spiritus Sancti, I think that's super hard to find. Still, the variegated Addisonii is still super hard to find. But I think most plants are much more. Yeah, we'll show you your collection. With so many sellers popping into the scene, a lot of buyers on social media are sort of there's some complaints or animosity about some of the sellers not being very responsible. What do you guys think about that, since you guys have been in the business for so long, right? Now I feel like some people are just coming in because they're like, oh my God, I can just make so much money off plants.
What we feel is a lot of the people aren't educated.
Yes.
And so they are just acquiring the plants. They're incorrectly propagating them. I mean, we've got it down to where they call it the sticks on the Monstera.
I just learned about that term, the wet stick term. Yeah.
Wet stick. We're seeing that just people are in a rush to acquire something and then to cut it up and resell it so quickly. And people are ending up on the other end, the buyer, with a plant that isn't going to thrive. And that's disheartening, because when you buy a little, what they call the wet stick Monstera, for example, or any aroid for that matter, it's going to take years before it gets big enough for you to enjoy a plant that you fell in love with. It takes a long time with especially the variegated Monstera. to grow. They're not fast growing, so you're going to wait years. And I just rather see people save their money and actually buy a rooted plant.
I agree. I tell people this exactly the same thing. I'm just like, really? You want to get it as a discount and then enjoy it 2-3 years, down the line? Do you feel that buyers, they have like a higher standard for plants now in terms of like conditioning? I feel that a lot of the sellers I've talked to, they're saying like a lot of the buyers these days are a lot more picky. I guess like, when you look at Instagram and you see all these amazing plants in like perfect condition, I feel like a lot of buyers may have this sense that that's the kind of plant that they want or expect, and I feel that the tolerance for some bad leaves or some yellowing or some stress from shipping,
Shipping is a big one, and that just currently happened to us. Shipping is stressful on the plant no matter what.
Yeah.
I mean, you can wrap it as well as you want, and the way that they handle them like a football, those packages, even if it says fragile on there, that plant's going through a lot of stress just going from one location to the other. And if overnight in an airplane as well, different pressures and temperatures and such. So you are going to get some leaf damage. Expect that.
Yeah.
I mean, just know that when you get that plant, it may not be so perfect, picture perfect when you get it. I mean, it's going to go through the shipping acclimation, trauma, whatever you want to call it.
So as spring is coming, or maybe spring's already here by the time this episode is released, and we're all, sort of like revving up our engines and getting ready for, the buying season. I hope that we all sort of try to keep a few things in mind. I think the first thing I want to say is that, when you're ordering plants online and they're being shipped to you, regardless of who you're getting it from, no one wants you to get a bad plant, right? There's no seller on the other side who's like, all right, I'm just gonna totally mispackage this so that, when you get the plant, it's just gonna be in bad condition, right? No one is consciously or purposefully doing that, or at least I hope no one's purposefully doing that, right? Sure, there are sellers that, are, not as careful as others, or maybe not as experienced or skilled in their packaging as others, but I don't think that anyone is really, maliciously trying to send out bad plants. What do you guys feel about people importing plants?
It's good and it's bad. It has its good points if you're going with a known seller.
Yeah.
And they have a good record. You're still taking risk as far as when customs handles it, because they're obviously not too delicate as well. The shipping with the postal shipping. But they can get damaged even in customs, and they just kind of throw them back in the box and don't rewrap them. Keep them nice. So you can expect damage, probably more damage. And from what I'm finding, some people are saying 90% of the plants coming in from importing from other countries have some type of damage.
Yeah.
Or pests or disease.
Yeah, I think one of my friends imported, and she found that there were pests in hers. And I thought that, I guess falsely, I thought that with the Philo sanitation certificate, that would, I guess, say that there's no pests, or at least safeguard against pests. But I think that's just the soil, right? I think the way that works.
Yeah, they're checking for different things. It also depends on the state that it's coming into, importing into, especially California. We're very strict here. Mm-hmm. So they go through rigorous testing, and they could come in, with the pest, and it just depends. They're so overwhelmed. They have one import customs officer per country, from at least in California, because I kind of know them. And they're overwhelmed as well because of the surge in us, wanting more and more plants and more people, collecting. They're getting overwhelmed. So a lot of things are going to get missed.
You guys have had to have imported before. I think like at your level, I mean, it's impossible to get plants without some importation, right? Do you feel like the process has gotten easier at all, or the same? How do you feel like assessing the risks and stuff nowadays as opposed to before?
With the 90% chance of it having something, it's not like the perfect delivery. There's going to be something that's going to go on with it. I would expect it, and I don't think that's going to change. Yeah. And like I said, because more and more plants are coming in, there's going to be more things that are missed.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I've had friends that just got packages that were literally looked like somebody dropped it off in the sky from the airplane, and then a big truck ran over it.
Yeah.
And he opened it and went, "What?"
As more veteran sellers, do you guys have any recommendations for buyers? How do they know who to buy from? There's just like so many sellers, so many conditions, right? And how do you know as a buyer, especially just getting into this?
I would say I would probably ask around on the social media who's reputable.
Yeah.
There's some big names out there that are well known, and those are the safer bets.
Yeah.
But I would definitely ask around, hey, have you heard of this seller? And a lot of people are, especially on eBay, there's a lot of watchers that just watch what's going on, and you kind of recognize who's been around longer as far as the seller name, and then you notice some of the new names. It's like, who is this person?
Yeah.
But sometimes you have to take that risk, order a plant. If it comes in, you're happy with it, and then they continue to sell, then that's a person that I would definitely focus on buying from.
I agree. I always advise people, like, especially if you're new, to go with a more established seller, and also like a larger seller. I think people on eBay who sold like thousands of plants, right? They obviously have a little bit more experience. Like even experience with packaging, right? Like once you package 1,000 plants, your packaging quality is probably a little bit better.
Trust me, when you get the buyer's feedback, especially on eBay, all throughout the years, you kind of learn, and that they actually ask for certain ways for it to be packed.
Yeah.
So I've kind of implemented all these years of shipping.
Yeah.
But again, it's like once we ship it and we pack it perfect, once it's in transit,
Yeah.
we have no control
Yeah,
over that
yeah,
damage.
yeah.
I wish we could hand deliver it,
Yeah.
fly to your home, and
Yeah.
just say, here it is.
Yeah. I think now that the market has changed where, there's so many suppliers and so many sellers and so many sources where we can find the plants that we want, I think there is a bigger incentive and a bigger responsibility on the buyer's side to, research the seller, right? Research, who they are, what their experience is, where they're getting their plants. I think that there's, it's before there were a lot of sellers or options on the market, and you really only had one or two or three people selling the plant that you wanted. I think it's easier then to sort of, shift responsibility on the seller and say that, they're not holding themselves up to a high standard. But I think that, as we're having more and more sellers and more options for buyers, I think there's a growing responsibility for buyers to do their research. What do you think is a good estimate of plants that, if you send 100 plants out, even the best care, the best packaging, I'm estimating about like 5 of those 100, even if you're the best seller in the world, don't make it on the best?
For this last year, we sold over 300 plants on eBay, and I believe I only got maybe 3.
That's really good, like a 1%.
I was
yeah.
proud. I was like, yes,
That's
my packing
really
is getting
good.
better,
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
It sometimes the damages that were entailed at the time were like the package got crushed,
Yeah.
in transit.
Yeah, there's really nothing you can really do about that. Is this like a full-time thing you guys do, or?
We sell late March all the way through June. We kind of take a break in the summer months just because of the heat.
Okay.
We did sell in the summer a couple years ago, and that's when we saw the damage, obviously, from the shipping.
Oh, I
versus
see.
Temperatures.
Yeah.
And so if we have residual plants, we generally will sell a little bit in the fall after the summer is over, right before winter. But a bulk of our plants go out late March all the way through June on eBay.
Also have to factor in the winter conditions too as well. So
Yeah.
We stop in the winter.
Okay, yeah, it's
freezing,
fast.
the ice, the snow, and all that.
Even
yeah,
with the heat
that's
packs,
pretty rough on them,
I've
too.
ordered plants with heat packs, and there still was some frost damage, just being too cold.
Yeah.
So that's another risk that buyers need to be aware of, regardless if
season.
there's a heat pack.
Shipping sucks, right? We all would avoid having a plant shipped to us, or as sellers, we would all love to avoid having to ship plants, but that's sort of just, the nature of the hobby, and that's really the only way some of us can get some of these plants that we really, really want and fell in love with and really want to add in our collection. yeah, shipping sucks. Shipping stresses out the plants. It stresses out the sellers. It definitely stresses out the recipient, right? So I just want to remind everyone to try to, keep that in mind and try to be a little bit understanding and thoughtful and considerate towards others. That the whole, shipping ordeal is a stressful situation for everyone, regardless of, the person shipping or the person receiving the plant. What do you guys think about plant prices? You guys kind of see it from both, angles, both as the collector and where the plants that you guys are collecting are more expensive now, and then as a seller where the plants that you're selling, you're making a little bit, maybe a bit more. What do you guys think about that on either end or as part of like the community?
Well, I feel it's obviously supply and demand.
Yeah.
And from what I found out, Thailand right now is kind of wiped out as far as their plants.
I think I understand that.
And other sellers as well overseas. And a lot of us internally and here in the U.S. are, kind of on low stock because there's just so much demand.
Yeah.
So that's going to make the prices go higher because Thailand will have such few, for an example, it has such few plants available. Yeah. They're going to make those plants price is going to go up on that particular plant because they're limited in supply. Yeah. They're really trying to regrow, but airwaves only grow so fast. Yeah. They're not super fast growers. So as far as some of the, for example, the airwaves, it's the world is kind of getting tapped out.
Yeah. And then the people who are importing and then reselling here, the prices are reflecting that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're right. The world is being tapped out. Yeah. Even though I guess there are still regional differences, obviously, right? I think obviously Thailand stuff is still cheaper. South American stuff is still cheaper.
I've actually seen some coming in from Thailand that's actually more expensive than the U.S. market.
Oh, really?
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, they're getting higher and higher and higher.
Okay.
Like, okay. But we found out why. It's because their supply is getting dwindled down. And so it's going to, once they get the new stock growing enough to sell, they're going to make that high price again because they have to make up for that, loss there.
So the last thing I want to say, if I haven't really stressed it or said it enough in this episode, is that now that the season of buying plants is upon us, and there are a lot of options for you buyers and collectors out there, really ask yourself the question, who are you buying it from? Who you're getting your plants from? Where are they getting their plants? What's their experience, their passion, their knowledge? Does that matter to you? I don't know. But I think these are some questions that we should ask if they do matter to us. I think that the standard of the seller or the sourcer, I suppose, is higher this year. And I think that's a good thing. I think that's a good thing for buyers and collectors that the standard upon the seller is higher this year. I think that's it for this episode. All right. Till next time. Happy planting.